got a long stay ahead of us here in Las Vegas. Today's World Bowling Tour Finals, just the first of 6 shows from the 2012 Geico World Series of Bowling. There you see the schedule. Every Sunday, tune in to see the world's best compete here at South Point. Next week, it's the Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold Cheetah Championship featuring Bill O'Neill, Chris Loschetter, Jeff Roche, and Mike Wolf. Back inside here at South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa, we are ready to go for the men's title match of the World Bowling Tour Finals. Mika Koivuniemi trying to get his 2nd straight WBT championship. He takes on his good buddy Chris Barnes. Kimberly Pressler is with them now.
Well, Lon, Chris and Mika, they always make a bet before they compete against each other. So, Chris, what is on the line this time?
Well, we've done the hair, we've done the pants. This time we're going to go with a jersey that the other one designs, or perhaps we'll have a contest on Facebook to see who can come up with the best one.
That seems like a good one. Now, Mika, you've lost the last few times. Are you ready for some redemption?
Yes, I've been waiting for this match for a long time, and I'm ready. After this match, send me some good tips for my Facebook page. I will make a nice jersey for him.
All right, there you have it.
Here's a look back at the wagers we just heard about. Mika in the 2008 U.S. Open sporting what was supposed to be blonde hair, a dye job gone wrong that turned Mika into a redhead, and then the infamous pants. Mika would end up modeling those in the 2010 Tournament of Champions. We've seen a lot worse on the golf course, though. It should be fun. There you see Lena Koivuniemi, Mika's wife, on the left, along with her oldest daughter, Ida. Enjoying the action here. Mika's youngest daughter, Lydia, not here, to whom Chris Barnes and his wife act as godparents. And so here we go, beginning our championship match. Chris Barnes, after a victory over Mike Fagan, will open up the action on the left lane. Oh, and Barnes thought he had it. Chris Barnes wanted to open up fast, put some heat on his buddy. He says he should have known. What should he have known?
That his ball reaction was going to be a little bit stronger, that he needed to move before he threw that shot. It's called anticipating transition, staying ahead of the move.
So Mika will try to get off to a quick start. 14 years on tour, 9 PBA Tour titles, 3 majors, and the defending champ here.
Yeah, but his home center is Bull Circus. That sounds like a great place.
Dual citizenship now between Finland and the United States, and he does put up a strike. All right, now it's time for today's Cold Truth, brought to you by Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold. All the finalists we'll see on today's telecast own major victories. That's a good field.
Yeah, and that man right there owns the Triple Crown. That guy over there, getting up on the lanes right now in the blue shirt, he won the Tournament of Champions a couple years ago. He won $250,000 doing it. 3
majors each for these finalists. Koivuniemi. Oh, wow. That traveled a long way across the lane.
Mika got to go with a little loft. That's his trademark shot that he carried with him over to the U.S. from Finland, bowling on the European Tour and bowling on dry heads. His loft helps get the ball through the front part of the lane, but that time that ball broke loose, leaving the 3-6.
So he lets Barnes off the hook. Mika with the spare there. So Mika tried to put the hammer down on Chris Barnes early, could not. Barnes saw weakness during pressure situations. He identified it, says, I think I've taken care of it. We saw him bowl very well overseas leading up to these finals. And he had trouble at the World Series of Bowling. But here with a chance, his WBT title against Koivuniemi. 10 pen.
Wow. Said the one thing he needs to work on is He needs to work on walking a little bit more left to create more angle through the front part of the lane when he has to get in real deep. Today, that's not an issue as he's playing the extreme outside part of the lane, and he leaves that vicious ringing 10, which did not make him overly excited.
Randy just mentioned that Barnes has been working on improving his game, but he doesn't do it alone.
I've had two big advantages over a lot of players on tour, and a lot of the best players have similar backgrounds, but one, I have an athletic background with a lot of, in a lot of sports, and two, I think I've had the advantage of having some of the best coaches all the way through. Whether it was Pat Henry and Gordon Vatican or Fred Borden or Rick Benoit and now Mark Baker, I've always had some of the best eyes and in the game helping me out and trying to help me get better. And because of my sporting background, I think I was more accepting of trying to figure out how to get better, because in every other sport, it wouldn't ever make sense for a player to think he's going to get better without a coach. One of the things that's helped me out in the last few years is, Mark Baker, I think, is the Butch Harmon of bowling coaches, and he's helping myself and Tommy Jones and Mike Fagan and Bill O'Neill, and he's helping those guys get over the hump, and he's helping me stay at the top out here on tour despite all the influx of youth and rev rate and two-handers and what have you.
10-pin again.
So he goes 4-pin the first frame, ring and 10 second.
That didn't work.
Follows it up with a weak 10. Chris Barnes uses 16 pounds, and when you have a rev rate like Chris does, and you're throwing 16 pounds and you leave a weak 10, that usually spells trouble, and it may be time for a ball change for Chris Barnes.
Barnes was not even sure about that spare 100%. 3 spares to start this championship match. Koivuniemi now with the only strike of this match in the first frame on the right lane. Both these champions with opportunities to really put heat on their opponent, and they've failed to do so. The lock. Mika now leaves the 10.
So we see a lot of strikes in game one, the lanes transition, and all of a sudden neither player can get all 10 down when they hit the pocket. Great look at Mika's tall stature, that long arm swing. The loft comes a lot from the fact that he doesn't use a lot of knee bend, so his launch is very high off the floor.
Mika defending his title here in the World Bowling Tour Men's Finals. He took the inaugural edition of this event last year as the #1 seed against eventual Player of the Year Sean Rash. Rash made some costly errors, which tipped the match in Mika's favor, 237 to 224. Fitting victory for one of the most well-traveled bowlers on the planet.
The bowling is so different, depends which part of the world you are. In Europe, there's a lot of league bowling. Not the way here, it's more like you belong to club and clubs bowls against other clubs in the leagues. In Asia, the best players are picked by the federation, and they train as professionals basically. They get paid by the government and they train every day, and Middle East is about the same thing. So there's so many different variations of bowling all over the world, but yeah, there's a lot of good bowlers all over the place, and all of them like to win.
He may have faced some tough competition in his travels, but at the age of 45, Mika is still a force to be reckoned with, no matter where he bowls. And here's a look at Mika's arsenal.
Again, like we've seen, the player's not going with the most aggressive of ball, but something right in between strongest and less aggressive.
Major Mika in the 4th. There's the strike.
Anytime Mika's ball hooks too much, he can just throw it a little bit farther down the lane.
All right, so now the heat on Chris Barnes.
Chris, you've had some carry issues after the first match where it seemed like you couldn't help but strike every ball. Now there's nothing but 9s. What adjustment do you make?
Well, the first shot was I stayed the same, and after Mika's practice there, I had a little more of a breakdown, so I should have anticipated that a little better. But the last two, the one right lane was really good, and then I moved left and tried to get around it on the left lane, and that hit flat. So I'm going to switch to a regular eruption, a little cleaner cover, and I can roll a little bit more and still get it to the spot, and hope that that changes the carry.
Thanks, Chris.
So a telling moment now for Chris Barnes. These pros no stranger to switching balls mid-game, but it can't be easy for anyone, except for Chris Barnes.
Well, equipment is key out here. Obviously, you have to have the physical tools. You have to have the talent. You also have to have good equipment.
He seems to be loosening up a little bit. You saw a smile on his face, a glance over at his equipment people saying, yeah, okay, that worked. Now let's try it on the left lane.
Yes!
Well, Chris seems to have fixed his problems as he comes up with a double.
Okay, thus far, looks like a pretty good ball change. Pretty good
So
adjustment.
far.
Stay tuned.
Well, Mika, 2 strikes, 2 spares. As you see Barnes, nice ball.
You know, and he said he wanted to get us something that was a little cleaner through the front part of the lane. And when the ball's cleaner through the front, it retains energy longer, and that gets the ball to finish through the pins the correct way.
Mika down by 9 now. He's up to the task. Mika Koivu-Niemi now up by 1 after that answering strike in the 5th, both with doubles.
1-pin match halfway through. Couldn't ask for a better title match. Let's see what Mika does getting back up here on the left lane.
Oh, he did get it! Oh, he thought the 8-pin was going to stand, but Mika got a break. There's the turkey.
Huge break for Mika Koivu-Niemi and tripping that 4 at the right time. You're going to hear this bowling ball hit the lane and it actually double bounces. Drifts just a pinch high, trips the 4-pin. And what a great break for Mika Koivu-Niemi.
So the match is back on. Chris Barnes and Mika Koivu-Niemi putting on a good show here in Las Vegas. Come on back.